What's up, everybody? It's Matt from Peter Glenn, and these are the Nidecker Supermatic bindings. So the Nidecker Supermatic binding is a fairly new binding in their lineup in the last few years, and it's gaining in popularity every single year. When you first look at this thing, it looks just like a standard binding, but it does have a feature that lets you get in and out super easy. So when it comes down to the basics of how this binding works, you take your foot, you slide your toe in all the way to the front, and then you step down on the heel and you're locked in and ready to ride. And when you need to get out, there's a little lever on the side that you push down, and then you stand on your toe and slide your foot out. Super easy to get in and out. Once you've got everything adjusted properly, that's all you have to do all day long. You never have to adjust your straps and adjust your ratchets. You do that once, and the only time you ever have to do that again is if you switch boots. But beyond that, how this thing works is pretty cool. So right down to the footbed, we actually have this slippery spot. They call it the slip-in grip, and it's kind of this smooth spot up towards the toe. And they do that so when your toe hits it, your foot can slide forward nice and easy. But when you lock down around the outside of that, in the back, on the heel, it has a full foam, so you're getting all the cushioning that you need. And there even is still some foam underneath that slippery piece too, so you're still getting cushioning there, but it's also gripping your boot and making sure that it stays in place. Likewise, when you go to get out of the binding and you stand up, the toe of your boot can slide off of that very easily to get your foot out. In addition to the footbed, there's also a roller on the inside of the heel loop to help your heel roll in and out of the binding easier. And then another piece that's kind of key to get in and out very easily is this little piece of the strap that's connecting the ankle strap to the toe strap. Now this piece is not there to actually lock your foot in. It's not there to be tight on your boot. It's there so when you do get out of the binding, it helps pull the strap away a little bit and just give you a little bit more clearance to get in and out of the binding. So then when we get into the meat and potatoes of exactly how this binding works and how it clicks in and steps in, that's all pretty much in the heel loop and the high back. So one thing that is very noticeable other than the heel loop and the high back is this piece that goes underneath your heel, and it's kind of set on a little bit of a swing. Now, this is set that way so it's always flat. When you go to step down, your heel can engage it properly, and no matter how your boot is shaped, it can kind of catch it. But that's what helps pull the binding down and allows you to use all the pressure from your weight and from the muscles in your legs to push down to get that thing to click in properly. The other cool thing about that is that it has these little ridges underneath, and these are pretty cool. If you do get some ice or some snow buildup under there, they help keep most of the binding up a little bit higher. So if there is some snow down there, it can still click in. But two, those ridges, they're kind of like little ice chippers. And when you do step down, they help hit that and break it up so you can still step in when there's some snow underneath the heel. When you are going to step in initially, it can't hurt to clean any snow out of there or underneath the foot of your binding, just like you're getting in and out of any binding in the market. But again, that little feature is pretty cool because it does help get rid of any of that snow if it happens to be there and you don't happen to see it. So then from there, obviously we are pulling that down, but we need something to lock it in place. And that's where we've got these two big burly pins on the side. So there's one on each side of the binding, and those both lock into a mechanism down inside the binding. And cool thing about it is it actually has 3 different clicks. So if I push down slowly, you hear 1, 2, and then third one when you really step down. Now the cool thing about those, again, another fail safe. If you happen to have some snow under there, or maybe you don't step down as much, or maybe you don't step down hard enough into the binding, that gives you 3 places to make sure that you do get clicked in. Ultimately, when you do step in this thing, you're really only gonna hear 1 big long click, but if you do step in slowly, you can hear those clicks, and those are something that you want to make sure you 100% hear when you do step into the binding. And then once that's locked in, if you look inside, you'll notice that there are locking mechanisms, again, on both sides. So twice the amount of hold to make sure that you stay in the binding and that it doesn't release, because that's not what it's designed to do. And then that being said, the only way to actually get your foot out of this binding is to push down on this lever and lean forward on the straps. Now the cool thing is the straps are attached to those pins. You've got those pins basically are kind of the focal point of all of this mechanism. And when you do release the strap, and you notice when we push forward on the strap and we stand on our toe, that pulls the binding out. So again, every little piece of this binding works together to get you in and out, and there's a lot of fail-safes to make sure that your foot is staying in this thing until you're ready to get it out. And then, as if that wasn't enough, there's another piece on the ratchets that's pretty cool. Once you have your binding ratcheted down and you've got the teeth all locked in and set exactly where you want it on your binding, once you lock that piece and you can't see the little bit of red on the side, now this ratchet cannot move. You can't ratchet it, you can't loosen it. So again, one more fail-safe to not only hold you in and give you the ultimate performance when you are snowboarding, and make sure that they can't accidentally get bumped and knocked loose. So then you have to go back and reset your bindings and get them set to the perfect spot that fits best for your boots. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into the Nidecker Supermatics, and not just what they are, but specifically how they work down to every little piece and part. And you can tell that they have thought of everything. They really wanted to create an experience and create a binding that you can use with any boot. Literally any standard snowboard boot on the market, whether it's this year's or whether it's 20 years old. Once you get it adjusted properly, you can get in and out of these things very, very easily, and you don't have to have anything else attached to your boot. And then most importantly, when you do get out and ride, they feel exactly like a regular set of bindings. I've ridden these things and there is literally zero adjustment period to get used to these things. They 100% feel like a standard set of bindings. And the really, really cool thing about these things is if you do get into a situation where maybe it's a little weird and it might be kind of hard to actually step in and out of these things, you fully can use them like a regular bindings. These are just standard ratchet straps with a lock. You just release that locking mechanism and you can slide these things in and out, ratchet them down, and pop them loose just like a regular set of bindings. But if you got any questions beyond anything that we talked about in this video, definitely leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer those questions. We want to make sure we can get you into some rad gear, but we want to make sure that you know how it works and so you can use it properly as well. Also make sure to like, subscribe, and definitely get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And head on over to peterglenn.com, grab yourself a pair of Supermatic bindings, get them mounted up, and get out and ride. Because any day of riding is a good day of riding.